We were very excited prior to this because you have such a, unique experience, especially with during the wartime, with politics, with entrepreneurship, with academics. You've done it all. So, if you don't mind, could you tell us how did you get to where you are? Where did you start, and what the process was, very quickly?
Wow. I think this is memoir writing. No?
Yeah.
I would say life gave me the challenge and the opportunity to live at the edge of society all the time. I am one of the minorities of the minorities in this country. I belong to a community called Malayalis. They are originally from Kerala, south west of India. Um, Many of the southern people have their origin as Malayalis, but they now have become Sinhalese, their surnames and all those things. My ancestors, I think, came about soon after the Portuguese period,
Okay.
the Dutch time to Sri Lanka, in order to build trade, because the Portuguese government had a Raghavan regiment in Cochin, in Kerala.
Interesting.
So the Dutch dissolved it, and then they took them for various other shipbuilding and various things. The Dutch were very trading oriented, right? So that's how I trace my origin. And one of my family members became very famous in Sri Lanka, Professor M.D. Raghavan, Iradini anthropologist. He wrote nearly about 7 books on Sri Lankan history, particularly the caste system of Sri Lanka. He wrote Karawi people, the Candian dance, and also about the gypsies of Sri Lanka, their origin, where did they come from. So, 1983 ethnic riots in Sri Lanka made me to realize that I'm an outsider while living in the same country. I studied in Sinhala medium because my father was more inclined to socialist Marxist thinking. So he said, you have studied the country's history, language, we have to be part of this country. I was, in 1983, I was the secretary to the Sinhala Society in Handala Purana Vihare, Rajaman Vihare.
Okay.
Right? So our house was burning when I was coming on a push bike with my friend Saradaya Pereira. I couldn't believe. So I asked Daya, why are they burning my house? Because I am so Sinhalese inside. Here I am coming from the Pansala. I am the secretary to the Literature Society of Sinhala Literature Society in the Pansala. And there I remember stopped the bike and said, "Kochara unat bademarane Suren."
Wow.
So that's the day that I realized that I can be, part of integral part of this society. I can go into study Sinhala. I can write poems in Sinhala. I can propagate the Sinhala language and incline to Buddhist philosophical thinking. But my surname wouldn't allow. There is a limit one can go. So that day was a kind of self-realization, like saying, okay, whatever said and done, you. So soon after that, my friends told me, why don't you change your surname? I mean, this is you can so in blend with us. It's your surname which is stopping. But I believe in the cosmic powers. I said, there is a reason why I'm born as I am in this country and what I have to go through. I had those days we didn't have all these electronic things and all, but I was eyeing a girl, and I had given a letter to her. Those days we write letters, school books, letters and all. I had given a letter, and that letter was found by her mother, and there was drama. Then her mother heard this, our house was burned. She was a very kind woman. She said, ask him to take our surname.
Wow.
Right? Hirugal Bandar. Now imagine today, I mean, I would have been Suren Hirugal Bandar. I mean, right? But that journey, that burning of my house is not only burning of my house alone, a building, but it's a mark on my soul. How do you deal with this? I found my family after 1 week in refugee camp. I was at Mahanama school as a refugee camp. Mahanama was only 2,000 that time students, but 8,000 adults were camped there. We got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning if you're going to go to the washroom and queue up, and there were no water. It's a refugee camp. It's almost like any refugee camp could be, and unparalleled. Before, Sri Lanka did not have experience about handling this.
Right.
And then the military officers were all Sinhalese.
Right.
The refugees were all 101% Tamil. There was linguistic barrier breakdown. So I happened to be the interpreter. And calling names from the loudspeaker, so and so had come, please come, and all. I remember then Foreign Minister to India, who later became Prime Minister of India, Narasimha Rao, visited our camp, and the army officer could not converse with him in English. So I again was called. So Narasimha Rao asked the army officer, how are you going to look after these people? He didn't have very clear articulated. He said, I have a ship. Announce whoever wants to go to India, I'm going to take it.
Wow.
So that was India's intervention, like they said. And some people signed up to go to India immediately in the same.
Which year was this?
83.
83.
1983.
And you were how old at the time?
Oh, now you are getting bad numbers. I was old enough to fall in love, and so and then go through this. I think I was 17.
Wow. What an experience.
So, but then you ask this question when something hurts you. By that time, I had kind of started reading biographies. My father was a reader. Our house burnt more because we had books.
Right.
Because the books don't burn totally, because the oxygen is not there inside pages. So they burn very slowly, burning all the things around, and then they burn inside. I had read biographies of many, many people by that time. Maybe my mindset was, Mandela, Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Malcolm X, all that, those heroes of that time. When something hurts you, you can react in two ways. Either you carry that hurt and hurt everybody around, like a porcupine. If you touch a porcupine, it hurts. It says all the. On the other hand, now I can talk about this after 40 years. You can convert your hurts, but the oyster does. Can convert your hurt. A pearl is hurt inside oyster, right?
Yeah.
It's a cutting edge, but oyster cries over it and converts it as a small gel. When you take pearl out, it's a small gel. Only oxidization makes it harder. And the pearl is a beautiful thing on somebody else's neck or somebody else's ring. So I was asking myself, what can I do with this hurt? And all my friends were Sinhalese. All my teachers were Sinhalese. I had very terrible, horrifying teachers in school who would, point out me and say in the class, these are the Tamil buggers who came and, our King Elara defeated them. And I get hammered during the interval.
You were the only.
I was the only Tamil guy in the class, right? And that, parallel to that, there were some absolutely kind teachers. Palita Samarasinghe was my Sinhala teacher, and Uduvavula Chandananda was my Buddhist teacher. And they were kind. So I had to really look at the filled half of the glass, right? And these were also Sinhalese, ironically. They can be kind to me. And then 84, 83 disturbance, 84 I went to Jaffna. I was 1.5 years in Jaffna trying to figure out. I got to university entrance, but I couldn't go because the universities were closed still. First I got Peradeniya, But Peradeniya, there was one, we must remember those great giants, Professor Halpe,
Mm-hmm.
who refused to, he was an English professor, he refused to start teaching unless all the Tamil students came
Wow.
back to the university.
Amazing.
So the university, that department was closed until he
It was
started.
closed.
But later, in Jaffna, it was another challenge because after 83, the LTT's dominant was so strong, and voluntarily people were joining LTT, young men and women,
Right.
because they were their scene in the south.
Right.
So the LTT somehow sent me invitation, so-called, to, because they knew that I was able to work in Sinhala,
Mm.
but they had just started their radio station, and the paper called Samanala.
Radio station?
Yeah, Sinhala radio station. They had a Sinhala radio. They had a radio station which was in all three languages. So they had also paper, a tabloid, Sinhala tabloid. I know the people who work for their Sinhala tabloid. Now some of them are diasporic people. So they, but I could not agree with the LTT ideology.
Were they accepting of you, Dr. Raghavan, when you went to Jaffna?
Yeah, there was no issue about that because I think the South kind of inhuman treatment was, there were people who were still rejecting, the large migration that took place from South, very handsomely, they located them below Jaffna, in Kilnochchi and Vavuniya. And that's why you find that today, Vavuniya and Kilnochchi districts have non-Jaffna speaking Tamil vote base.
Interesting.
Right. Jaffna Vellala community did not want the southern Tamils to come and integrate with them immediately. Of course, Jaffna had land issue also. Jaffna is highly, population density. So they didn't, land was available in Kilnochchi, they settled them. But there was another theory behind it. Like, that's another day we'll talk about. If you really go to northern province, you find the difference between Puram and Nagaram. They call it, the new cities are Purams.
Okay.
And the old cities are Nagaram. So, two different communities, two different ideologies. We'll talk about that later. Otherwise we'll be...
Yeah, okay, we'll get into that.
Yeah, and but I could not, honestly speaking, very honestly speaking. I mean, by that time I was also, because my father's influence and all, I was more kind of socialist thinking, like left of the left, like. But LTT's violence and their belief more on an ethnic state, because LTT coined this word. LTT was earlier known as Tamil New Tigers, TNT, right? By that time, there were about nearly strong, there were groups, about 20 groups, but 9 groups were dominant. They were all arms, EROS, EPLRF, EPDP, LTT, Patpanabas group, and Maheshwaran's group. But LTT took this stand and said, ideologically, they want an ethnic
state.
So did this start off as a loose coalition of armed Tamil groups?
Yes.
And then the LTT decided to dominate? Because they were, what were they, more hyper-violent compared
They
to...
were, if you had read Prabakaran's available biographies, Prabakaran's teacher was one Kumaraswamy, who was an extreme Marxist. Prabakaran's struggle first started against the caste system, Jaffna. He invited a grade 8, his classmate, to have dinner, but the father refused because the friend was low caste. So Prabakaran started fighting, and at the age of 16, he ran away from home and lived in Omandai, where he got indoctrinated about. So his start was against the Tamil community itself, the structures of Tamil community. But then he realized that hierarchy Tamil community are all supported by the government. and they are part of the government overall structure, state structure. Then he turned his anger against the government itself.
Right.
Turiapa's murder, the first mayor was murdered.
The first mayor
of Jaffna.
Of Jaffna,
Tamil LTT claimed the death. So he was representing SLFP, Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Interesting.
really?
So yeah, so the LTT's idea was that the oppressors in Jaffna are supported by the Sinhalese state. Therefore, actual enemy is the Sinhalese state, which at least you should fight. So I think that transition took place in somewhere 86, 87, very strongly. And then they came out as LTT, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. As I told them, the word Eelam is a literary word for entire Sri Lanka. Right? Even in Sri Lankan radio, it was called Ilatpisa, I mean Sri Lanka's music.
Wow.
The Ilangai word comes from Eelam. So therefore LTT said, we understand there is a total Eelam, but we are going to carve out a Tamil Eelam out of it.
Right.
We accept that there are Sinhalese people and they have their own state. Let them, but we, from Putlam to Ampara, we are going to carve out because we claim that as our ancestral. And I think LTT leader Prabakaran's one of the final speeches, I don't think it is Sudumalai's speech. I think one of the Mahavira speech, he said, we are people of Ravana. We are the sons of Ravana. The whole Sri Lanka was ours, and you, Vijaya and Sinhalese invaded us, and you took over. So we are only trying to get back what was ours. So political and philosophical ideology, while changed, LTT became more and more violent. Their only language was, I mean, if you read any of the literature on Google Scholar or so, it will show that the modern world learned about suicide bombing after Japanese World War II, Kamikazes. LTT's methodology that was used by all the other groups in the Middle East, because LTT carried out, I think, nearly about 300
A lot of
suicide
suicide
bombings.
bombings, yeah.
The suicide bombing came to such a level that they would train, I mean, Commander Fonseca was attacked by a pregnant suicide bomber
Yeah.
who had cultivated affairs with a soldier, married him. So the soldiers' wives are entitled to come for clinic. And that's how she entered the headquarters. So this was their thinking. Like, there was no humanity left in order to reach their goal. I mean, how would you say, you talk to a young girl and say, get married to this guy, get pregnant, go to clinic, and give us all the information. When is the commander coming? When is the commander going? And on that day, you attack him with your baby in your womb.
You think there's an aspect of brainwashing involved?
I think there was absolute brainwashing. But then they would argue, even still, some diaspora members who are learned and otherwise would argue to say that was only a reaction to the terrible, inhuman SLA, that Sri Lankan army and Sri Lankan government's inhuman treatment to the northern province, unarmed civilians. Aerial bombings, poisoning water, whatnot. That we had number of misbehavior of the army, killing, raping, killing innocent. So they would say their violence was a counterproduct of the state violence of
From the army.
So this argument can go on.
Yeah.
But my thinking is, if the LTT wanted, Tamil intellectual at that time wanted a separate state, the idea was that the state that they are living in is not enough, not good enough. Okay? Right? It's not democratic. So what do you do then? Your idea should be to create a better democratic state than what it is. Right?
Yep.
But if you are not doing that by practice, if your state making is only violence, obviously you're not going to make a state.
Yep.
And that was my argument. And I am today I'm opposing this whole idea about separate state. But let me tell you, I don't oppose the idea about Tamil rights in this country.
Absolutely.
As individual experience, as community, as a collective identity, Tamils have the right to live as first citizens in this country, not second to anybody. Right. So I believe Sri Lanka is what in modern political science we call is a plurination state. Tamils are a nation, and they need to have their nation identity and nation rights. But up until 1980, the political theory was every nation must have a state. That is not so now. So therefore, states like Spain can have more than one nation within the same state. Like take Canada. Canadians believe the English speaking is a nation, the French speaking Quebecois is a nation, but they can live in one state.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have introduced the Sinhala word, lack of word in Sinhala, Vaijatika Rajyak.
Okay.
In pluralistic nation, plural nation means Vaijatika Rajyak. Because the two nations can live parallelly side by side. But we don't need separate states. We can live in one state. But that idea is not so popular. Like it is easy to be polarized and take Sinhala only or Tamil only. It's very easy that position. The middle path position is always difficult.
Why do you think that is?
Sorry,
Why do you think that is?
which is
I mean, the fact that it's easier to kind of
it's
succumb to the racist aspect of
it's
things.
popular. I mean, you don't have to think much. I mean, southern hardliners will say this nation was always Sinhalese, and this nation belongs to Sinhalese, and the rain, Aladula, Ganga, everything belongs to Sinhalese. And but if you look at very closely, Sinhala language itself is 35% Tamil. Yeah, I don't say this. It is Koperhevage, the senior professor at Columbia University, one of his critical books, he says, right? Patti, Mutti, Vetti, Petti, Kannadi, Nadi, Manikam, Palmanikam, Attivaram, Varam, all those, Varipanam, all those Tamil words. Very, very fluently used in Sinhala. So you can't carve out, because we are an island nation. So many came here, so many lived here, so many left here. Right? How is that people can write words like Pereira and Fernando, De Silva without making a mistake, but they still can't write Raghavan properly? So I am the outsider. It is because of the social mindset, the political construct that we have in this country, which need to be addressed, for the core, like much as we must address this Tamil, pan-Tamil separatist idea, we need to also address the core issue of the Sinhala-only idea in this country. Sri Lanka had never been a mono-ethnic, monocultural land.
Yeah.
If you study Professor Parnavithana's text, what about Sri Lanka before arrival of Buddhism and before arrival of Vijay? It says that there were three communities called Yaksadeva Naga. They were not devils, but they are called Yaksa,
Yeah.
they were called Naga. Like we have Nagapatnam in India, we have Nagadeepa in Jaffna, right?
And
So
the
those,
Vedas, right?
Huh?
The Veda tribe, which
that,
exists today.
that's a still a debate whether they
Right.
were,
It's another podcast.
yeah. I mean the
All
First
right.
Nations, the First Nations in Sri Lanka before. So pre Mahinda era is not studied. Right? What religions were in this country? Hardly studied. But pre-Vijaya, hardly studied. So as if our civilization started from there onward.
Yeah.
But that's one version of the civilization, right? But we know anthropologically, we know geographically, we know by archaeologically. Sri Lanka is far older than this 2000 years. I mean, Professor Dharnegala's findings in Balangoda Manaviya story, the 8,000 years old skeletons we found, and 38,000 years old, pots and potteries we found in Ratnapura.
Wow.
So I think post-independence struggle in Sri Lanka, unlike other countries, did not envisage, imagined, or dreamt about a civic Sri Lanka. Both sides secretly envisaged an ethnic Sri Lanka. The Tamils wanted a Tamil
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese wanted a Sinhalese Sri Lanka. And I think leaders like Bandaranaike's language policy and later Mrs. Bandaranaike's cultural policies accentuated that, really deepened it. I mean, 1972 Constitution,
Yeah.
nobody was consulted.
When they made Sinhala the official language, right?
Nobody was consulted. Sinhala official became 1956.
Right.
Bandaranaike's legacy.
Right.
Was, right. Actually, Sinhala only language, the bill was presented to the parliament in 1935 by Jaya Jawardhan.
Oh.
That time, assembly. So this guy, when he got power, he wanted to ride on the Sinhalese nationalistic popularity. He said, I'll make the language official language. Cutting off the Burghers, the Muslims, the Tamils out of the mainstream. It's true, Sinhalese people had to have their language because the kingdom of Kandy was conquered by the English. At that time, the official language was Tamil and Sinhala. The kings were Tamil, right? If you look at the surrender treaty, there were 9 signatures, 6 are in Tamil, right? Because in that time, the elites, like today, like let's say a very urban young boy want to speak in French in Colombo, it shows he saw her background, like she's going to Orleans France and then, you know, parents are traveling and all that. Like that, it was Tamil which was more elite to be spoken at that time. So they signed in Tamil. Even Sinhalese leaders had signed in Tamil. So this language thing, 1972, which was declared as unconsulted. Not a single person in this country, a citizen, ordinary citizen, were consulted and asked, what kind of constitution do you want? Right? It was far crying, and they to declare it as Sri Lanka was a Buddhist country. So we didn't need a certificate to say we are Sri Lanka Buddhist. But that said, Sri Lanka is a Buddhist country. And whatever the minority protections that had from 29A, the Salisbury Commission, that was removed. So I thought from 1950 to like 80s, those 20 years, we did not build a state. We did not build a civic state. We built
Ethnic state.
an ethnic state. This is, you see, I think the younger X and Alpha generation do not know this. Question was asked, why Tamil students are more in universities, particularly in medicine, engineering, and all those elite streams. They said Tamil students are passing the exams. Same exam, same paper. There was a law in this country, if you write the paper in Tamil, you need to take more 10 marks to go to universities.
Oh.
That was an actual law?
Actual law, standardization, they said. They said we have to standardize. There's a disproportion of Tamil people coming to university. Only a disproportion of Sinhalese people are coming. So what do? We bar the Tamil people. So if you had written the advanced level paper in Tamil medium, you take more marks to go to universities.
That's insane.
The reason was missionaries built good schools in northern province and eastern province. So the education was functioning in Jaffna. So students were studying and going at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning for tuition. This whole tuition culture came from Jaffna. It's so company.
Really? Okay.
Right, absolutely. 5 o'clock they cycle to tuition and then they go to school. And they got marks. Same paper, they came to university. Without uplifting the education in the south, what do? You say, okay, you write in Tamil, you get more marks. Luckily, it was taken away. It was, I think these elements drew the Tamil middle class and intellectuals. 1972 Constitution was declared here, and 1974 the Tamil intellectuals declared saying we are no more part of Sri Lankan government state. The Vatukotte Declaration was May 8, 1974. Chelmanayagam, who worked with the government up till such time, said no more working because you have said we are not part of it. Right? So we have to find our own way. It's like you have a land, you go and put a fence, of course, because what do you say? You claim the ownership of that land. But you're saying something else also. What? The next land is not yours. Land outside the fence is not yours, right? That's a metaphysical meaning.
Yeah, for sure.
You put your fence around. Okay, that's your land. But what is untold is මෙහාට අනිත් පැත්ත මගේ නෙවෙයි.
Yeah.
So
Nothing
when
is-
the constitution declared saying this country belongs to certain people, certain community, certain ethnic group, certain language group, this is a pluralized society. This is a multilinguistic society. What do the others push to think? Okay, right. You take your portion. We'll work out on our portion. So 1974, May 8th, the declaration, Vatukotte Declaration said Tamils are a nation, and we will work on for our separate state. Luckily, it didn't say by violence, but it said at least by means. So it was open.
Right.
Later, I know Chelvanayagam opposed violence means of political rights. He was very sad when LTTE took over and then started violently. But I think it is the two very opposing currents in that time political history of Sri Lanka. South was ruled by Jaya Jayawardena, who was an ethnic nationalist, and that side political leader was Amirthalingam, who was a Tamil nationalist. So this kind of flew through the window of any negotiated settlement, and then both sides started warring, and we had a 29 years war, which ended in again a military victory. So I think I started saying something and I went on to other areas.
No, very, very insightful.
Very insightful.
So I don't know. Do you have your time to ask your second question even?
No, that was good because this has all kind of fomented from just unilateral action taken by everyone, and it fomented hatred.
Yeah, I think what happens is when I look at other states, even nearby states like India, there were non-political civil leaders who could bind fractional political parties, who are elite enough, who are rich enough, who are educated enough, but not in politics.
Right.
But their self-sacrifice made the connections, like Desmond Tutu,
Okay.
right? But Sri Lanka didn't have a Desmond Tutu. And this is my cry, and this is what I later wrote my PhD. I was crying inside. Why don't the Mahanayakas, who are well fitting, because they believe in ahimsa, they believe in the Sri Lankan identity as a Buddhist country, so why don't they come out and build this bridge? But we all saw throughout the history the Buddhist monks taking one side, Sinhalese nationalist type. Hardly any, very rarely Buddhist monks came out of their closet and started supporting the peace process. I can think of Baddegama Sabita, and he passed away recently. I can think of Akuruli, not Aturuli, Akuruli Hamdru. I can think of Vavuniya, Mahakaskubura Hamdru. They were the very tiny minority, and they were called, funded by the church, funded by the diaspora, and they were nicknamed by the other majority. But the Buddhist monks took a step, but that wasn't successful because they were against a massive flow of the opposition side. So that intellectually challenged me, saying, how do you harness, how do you inculcate a philosophy like Buddhism, non-violent, ahimsa, and still propagate the war solution? Right? So that actually led me to my PhD research and asking and interviewing nearly about 800 Buddhist monks to ask why are they having that attitude. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So we'll touch on that as we go.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of go into, so after, let's say 1984, 85, now it's really evolving at this point. It's getting hot at this point. It's going to reach its peak soon. Then I believe Chandrika comes in
94.
94.
Yeah.
but it's at the peak at this point.
Because what happened, 87, South started burning, 87, 88,
Right.
89, the JVP second revolution.
Right.
And that was more gerrymandering than the first one. First one had some intellectuals trying to take this state as a Marxist state. But the second one had absolute, they were going after
Violence.
the Mahatyas, they were going after the farm leaders, and they were just, it was a killing field. I mean, Sri Lanka earned that name, killing field, because of that. And I remember, again, the universities were closed, and there were times we were not supposed to switch on lights. And my village, nearly about 10 people were killed. One famous doctor was killed because he treated people in the evening when JVP had a unofficial curfew. So I think South was starting to burn, and it was Premadasa's time. And government also used very, very rude, raw tactics of torturing, and all those things took place. So by 94, when election time was there, both South and North had decided to make a change. And Chandrika was a reluctant politician because of her experience after Vijaya's assassination. We still do not know who assassinated Vijaya. Her husband, Vijay Kumartunga. He was a socialist, popular socialist actor. And he was possibly contesting. If he had contested, I think would have won. He was so popular. So they assassinated. So she took off to London with her 2 children. But by 93, there was appeal made to her. But she took a very courageous step, and she came and canvassed. I followed her during that election about 9 campaign rallies because I was a student of political science. And she undoubtedly, unwaveringly, she said the Tamil issue is a political issue. Only by power sharing we can solve this. It was against the popular thinking of military solution. I remember Matara Uyanvat, one of her final, I think it was the final meeting. She had the famous salute and said, Tamils are part of our country, and this war had to stop only by power sharing. And she won. She got so far highest votes at any independent president election. She got 68%. Up to all the others, I mean, the present president is 42%. Right. Up to that point, JR, Mahinda, everybody had got like 51, just marginal. Because in Jaffna, when she said this political solution, it was like a turnaround. People in Jaffna had, Chandrika bangle, Chandrika earrings and all that. She was so popular home name she became.
Interesting, by trying to advocate for a peaceful political solution.
Absolutely.
I would think that at this point, because the hyperviolence on both sides, it's too ingrained in everyone's mind now that they don't want a peaceful solution to this, especially the leadership of the LTTE.
No, by that time LTT felt. Chandrika fancied, she had never used that word, but she fancied, and I think she entertained the idea about a federal state.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she was kind of like
She was exploring,
dragging them along a little bit.
That's right.
Right.
She was saying no, absolutely no separate state, but alternative was this. You see, when you are in peace talks, you have hardcore issues, bargain issues, and other issues. By that time, 1987, Indian government had come and signed the Indo-Lanka Accord, by which we have declared provincial governments. Provincial councils, 9 provincial councils were operating in 1994. So it was only matter of empowering further to a quasi-federal model.
Kind of like Quebec in Canada?
Quebec is a very extended, but like the Indian model.
Right, state model.
Yeah, right. India, for some wrong reason, calls it a state. like America calls
Like US
state,
states,
separate state, they came together, but here they use the word state to go away. So
Alright.
it's a
Very contradictory, yeah.
misnomer of political history. So more devolution. Chandrika actually entertained the idea that North and East being one province, right? And any other province wants to join together, like the southern province wants to join with Sabaragamu and then operate as one point. She brought in this finally, she brought in this 5-region idea.
Right.
Right. Originally, she said the Rohupiti Maya, the ancient way we will go along the Mahavali River, will divide. Right. It was the way that was ancient Sri Lanka was divided, but then it evolved into a final 5 regions. But like always happened in the history of Sri Lanka, the opposition parties were completely against it. Even her party members were against it. So that invitation to explore the possibility of federalism, like I mean, we had the Oslo Declaration. Sri Lanka had an Oslo Declaration which G.L. Piris and Anton Balasingham signed. Anton Balasingham on behalf of the LTTE, plus G.L. Piris as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Constitutional Affairs, signed that Sri Lanka and the LTTE are committed at that point to explore a federal model as a solution to Sri Lanka, right? The Tamils always had advocated federal model as an alternative, but they were not articulative enough which federal model they were talking about, whether it's the Indian model, whether it is Malaysian model, whether, as you said, Canadian model. I don't know why you picked up Canadian model, because that was one of their earlier proposals.
Oh, really?
But interestingly, I must emphasize here, the federal idea in Sri Lanka did not come from Tamils. It is 1932, actually 1919, Sinhala Kandy Assembly went into the English government and said, now you are talking about power devolution. This is before, soon after Donamo Commission, I think, right? You are trying to power share. We were the last kingdom. You took our kingdom, so give us our kingdom back. Right? The Kandy elites.
The candidates.
They went like the Dunuvilla, I think Ratsatas. They all went and said to the English rulers, look, give us our kingdom. They said, no, there is no re-kingdom making. Then they said, give us an American model federalism, because we can't live with the southern Sinhalese.
Oh, the Candians.
Candians
saying that
said.
they can't live with the southern. Interesting.
Candian said, we are a different, they didn't use the word nation. I wonder if they used the word nation. We are a different community altogether. We are a different kingdom. So give the upcountry kingdom as a federal state separately. This was 1919, right, by Candian Sinhala National Assembly, right? That was the, so the original federalist idea came from them, right? So somehow Chandrika's, I mean, just jumping back to 94, Chandrika started off very honestly, we all, I mean, by that time, it was close to the peace process, we started very honestly. We had our difficulties because the Sri Lankan army, we had not faced this kind of, jungle ambush terror attacks. So lot of casualties sometimes. Then the reactionary armies, out of command reactions were there. So the war front was like zigzag all the time while the peace talks were continuing. But I believe 1990 was a turning point in peace talks. It's because LTT, while at the peace talks table, distantly, sometimes it was frozen, sometimes restart, but they decided to kill Chandrika. 1999 suicide bombing, the second campaign rally. The same way they killed, 94 they killed Ramnil Sanayaka, who was the opposition leader campaigning against Chandrika. He was bombed in Colombo 14 after a rally.
Why would they want to kill the opposition leader and the prime minister?
Opposition leader was 1994.
94.
This is 99.
1990. Okay.
You see, the issue is any strong leader who could articulate alternatives should be eliminated. Then it is easy to live with the extremist. It is easy to continue the war. And it is easy to justify the separatist cause.
So Prabakaran and the LTT they had no intention of federalism anyway.
Absolutely, I don't think. Even if they had got federalism, they would have used that as a platform to the separatism. Because they couldn't, they ideologically could not somewhere. Then, latter part of LTT, I must say, when the war ended in 2009, many of the people who supported LTT intellectually had distanced themselves.
Right.
Even Anton Balasingham, this is, we knew. Final peace process was given to them by the Norwegian, facilitators. We proposed them as much as close to a Good Friday Agreement. IRA and Tony Blair signed a Good Friday Agreement to stop the IRA fighting the British government and bombing London. This was almost same.
Right.
Our idea was to say, okay, you keep the arms. We are not going for disarmament now. But you become a political party because we can't treat. By that time, Canada and America had declared you as a terrorist group. We can't negotiate with a terrorist group designated. So you create a party, political party. You win the political election. Provincial council, you win the political. Then we will deal with the provincial council elected party, not with a terrorist group.
Right.
But that was the way. After 5 years, we'll start talking about disarming and taking your weapons away and Sri Lanka withdrawing the army from the northeast.
Right.
Everybody agreed. Tamil chairman agreed and said this is one of the best that we could.
Really?
We broke for lunch and there was thick air in the room. And after lunch, Tamil chairman says, no, we can't agree. I have a feeling the big man was listening somewhere near or what was happening. And the lunch was to go and ask him, okay, now we agree that we'll go with this.
We'll do with this.
And he said
no.
I do not know from whom he was taking advice.
Right.
But that is Sri Lanka's unsolved question. Who was advising Prabakaran throughout the war? Was he a self-made megalomaniac leader? I mean, he had extreme leadership qualities. Imagine challenging the Indian army, fourth biggest army in the world. Whether through gun or by his charisma, whether it's brainwashing, whatever way. I mean, it's not me saying, it is Kamal Gunratna, the retired army commander who fought the war, said that he would respect Prabakaran as a top leader if he was not a terrorist group. His strategies, his leadership qualities were far-reaching, but he was. So my question is, who he was getting advice from? That when he had the opportunity of creating peace, he said no. Is it an international group? Is it one individual international? Was it another foreign government? We do not know.
So what's your theory on that? What do you think is going on there? Do you think that he was clever enough to achieve everything that he did with the strategies, with the tactics, or?
I think he was a self-made leader, absolute self-made leader. He was an avid reader, and he was reading on almost every. He had a full-time English reader who would read in English and tell him in Tamil.
Interesting.
Right? He read absolute about the Chinese Cultural War. He read about Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh's war completely. He read.
So he was studying.
He was studying every warfare possible, and he was. And I believe he politically he wasn't getting updated about the pan-Tamil idea, but politically he was hurt inside. That Tamil people are suffering in this country, so I must sacrifice my life. At least my life will put them in, and then my language is violence.
Do you think he cared about the Tamil people in such a way where, because I look at him and think, he used suicide bombers, he used children, child soldiers, so on and so forth. And then I know the Sri Lankan army did their atrocities. But was he What was his long-term plan, do you think? Did he want?
I think militarizing the Tamil mind was his legacy.
But at some point, do you think he realized that the idea of ever becoming a separate state is now far gone? I've assassinated the Indian Prime Minister, Sri Lankans, and like, there's no coming back from this. Or was he delusional at some
I
point?
think he was more fixed in his own iron jacket, that he couldn't come out. He couldn't go back because sacrifice was so much. And he couldn't give up the idea because the inbuilt, by that time, the diaspora. You see, what happened 2007, 2006, the Canadian government banned LTT. That time, Prime Minister Harper, one night he raided 300 houses and froze all the bank accounts and so-called bank accounts and all that. It is 2006 or 7 he did that. 2009 war ended. It's 2 years time. But whereas the Indian government had banned LTT for 20 years, LTT grew.
Yeah.
So the international network was cut off at that point, and he couldn't go either forward or backward. I think he was caught in his own ideologies, and the illogical decision was my personal VVC committed suicide.
Right.
He.
So you don't buy the original story.
I think it is even the military leaders don't buy that idea.
Yeah.
But let's say we won military. Sri Lankan military won, right? I have some other insights, theories of the years, but those are off record. We cannot talk about it.
Okay. So for those who are unaware, you actually were leading, you were part of the negotiating team between the army and rather the government and the LTT leadership.
Yeah. We had, you see, in peace talks, we have track 3. That's based to people talking.
Okay.
And we had that, like parents coming from their soldiers' parents meeting here, so, parents of LTT cadres killed by the Sri Lankan army. We had that kind of connection going on. You know, they used to cook together, eat, and share there. And then we built also the signs of the innocent people who were killed. My friend, Professor Jagat Veera Singha. Then that's track 3 level. Track 2 level is the government officials, intellectuals getting together. Then we had 1.5, where the serious second-tier leaders, like our foreign minister and Anton Balasingham talk. Track 1 will be Chandrika sitting with Prabakaran,
right?
Which never happened.
That never happened.
That never happened. Only there were 4 letters from Prabakaran to Chandrika.
But why is that? Because I would think if you want to deal with anything, you have to meet someone.
Yeah, but he wasn't willing to come out, right? He was not willing to come out. It is Ranil Wickremesinghe who brought Prabakaran out of the jungles.
Could you elaborate on it?
I mean, the famous ceasefire agreement.
Right.
CFA. Under CFA, we agreed to stop all the fires, and the Norwegians are going to monitor, right? LTT will stop fire. And then they had this famous international media where 45 to 50 foreign media came to see this man and interview him, who was ruling the, Sri Lanka, not only Sri Lanka, I mean, he was challenging India, Indian government, Indian army, Indian democracy. And he had kind of attacked the single international airport, and he could have taken the airport, right? He could have ruled Sri Lanka by So, still the Tamil diaspora is equally angry with Ranil Wickremesinghe. They think that Ranil Wickremesinghe masterminded the breaking of LTT. Because after that exposure, international exposure, going into then Karunaman joined the peace talks. But then Pillayan joined the peace talks. Karunaman started saying he needs a separate idea in the East. And then LTT broke. I met Tamil Chelvan on the March 8th, Women's Day. And I we talked about it. I said, we hear that there is some disagreements with the Eastern Commander. Because by that time I had seen Eastern Commander's letter to Prabakaran.
Okay,
He
interesting.
used to call him Anna, and he had written this letter.
Used to call him Anna.
Yeah, Anna. I used to call him Anna. I had written this letter saying, "You are calling me to negotiating, asking what is happening in the East. I'm not coming because I'm not sure about my life.
Hmm.
Right? I am willing to talk to you anywhere outside North. Please recommend a common place, because before that, whoever LTT suspected were murdered.
Mm.
Matya, Rahim, even Kutim, who not Kutimani, the other one who killed in the ship. Anyway, so second command of LTT was absolutely terrifying. Leader calls you, and Karunaman until that point was the most trusted leader. He is the only guy who could go weaponized with weapons to C4 camp where Prabakaran was living. Right, all the others had to be disarmed and taken separately. They are separate vehicles. So they had this bond, but this bond broke because Karuna was not sending the money that was collected in the East. He was accused, and his personal life was not disciplined like an LTT leader. He was accused. But Karuna said, "Okay, let's talk about these issues. I have a command under me," and it was the Eastern Command which always suffered.
Mm,
Right? Eastern Command which went in the front line.
right.
Like for instance, Oyadala Hill, which our biggest barricade, our most garrisonized camp
Mm.
was Elephant Pass. Right? Vijay Nambiyar, an Indian Army commander came and said, "This is unpenetrable." But it was collapsed. Collapsed, and 780, 790, 800 or even more soldiers died. Elephant Pass. It was led by Karunaman, unceasing waves. So they sacrificed about 500. So he starts talking about it and said, "Robert, my people, my command is sacrificing." But, so I think that split, you know what happened later? They went on their own and they started fighting each other. They had their own Tamil army separately, so that's all near history. But the Tamil analyzers, people who really look far, political analysis, think it is all done by Ranil.
Right.
Ranil brought the tiger out of the jungle, internationalized, and planted indigenous internal divisions, which LTT got really weak, and then of course Rajapaksas were able to finish them.
Do you think that
Rajapaksa,
was...
not Rajapaksas personally, Rajapaksa led leadership was
Leadership,
able
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Do you think that so when he kind of switched away from Prabakaran, was there a failure on the part of the Sri Lankan intelligence or army for not kind of making use of that
No, he came and he came and hid in our army's capital.
immediately
When
after?
I say our army camps, he came and hid in Sri Lankan army camps. He couldn't go anywhere else in Sri Lanka. Absolutely no.
Right.
He could have been traced, detected, dismantled, and destroyed. So his only protection was the former enemy. So he came. He became an informant. He became deputy president of Sri Lanka Freedom Party under Mahinda Rajapaksa, Karunaman. He became a minister. So LTT
Wow.
says, I have met some of the former LTT cadres. They said the biggest blow was not him going with, he took fair amount of weapons, but the communication pattern was exposed now.
Right.
They didn't have time to rebuild a military intelligent communication language.
Because he was the guy that was...
He knew. They wrote in Tamil. So, means what? Because they had a military language. Over time they built it.
As in a very unique,
Unique
kind of
language. They
language
built
that
a-
Sinhalese army couldn't understand.
I mean, this has happened to warfare.
Yeah, sure, yeah,
The
yeah.
Nazis built a different language nobody could understand.
Yeah.
It is the famous movie, that guy, right?
Yeah.
He interpreted the language and said the ships are coming here. So
Yeah.
likewise, they had their own language. And that was built over a period of time, about 20 years. But that couldn't be built sooner. Communication went disarray. Then command collapsed one by one. That's what they told me, some of them who left LTTE and got reformed by the military government, Sri Lankan government, and they told this what happened inside. Okay, I think we're talking about LTTE. This is going to be an LTTE episode, I think.
So actually, it's very interesting because you've got
It
some
really
really
is,
good
yeah.
insights here.
Well, I mean, I think there are more people, bringing. You must also bring people who work with the northern province more under a military. I don't know whether he would come. Dan Jayathalaka, I would think. Dan Jayathalaka was separatist. The Sinhalese guy who believed in Helam.
Wow.
Very interesting.
And he was a member of the first provincial council under who was that? Who was the chief minister? Annamalai or under chief minister? Yeah, Ipilar chief minister. There were two Sinhalese ministers who worked so closely with the, but they were LTT, right? Kind of ran across them. LTT was against them. So maybe I know he may be also able to give the negotiations, and he was very fond of Mahinda later. Dan Jayathalaka is a political commentator. One of the respected political commentators in this country. Myself and him have got loggerheads with this whole idea about. I believe in Tamil rights. Dan don't believe. He does not believe in Tamil rights. But he's a good guy to have another perspective, right?
That'll be a very interesting
Another
perspective for
yeah.
sure.
We are friends, but we don't agree.
So after, let's say, okay, so 2007, all of this happens. Now it's coming to 2009, where the Rajapaksas come in and they just kind of wipe it clean.
I mean, I would say Rajapaksas at the beginning. I mean, Maithripala Sirisena went to Geneva representing Rajapaksa for negotiations. Right?
Were they serious about those?
Yeah,
negotiations?
absolutely. I think I would give that. I mean, knowing the former president personally, I mean, he believed in. I mean, he even offered the 13 plus. 13th Amendment was the amendment that created the provincial councils, against a separate state. Mahinda Rajapaksa very emphatically he said 13 plus. Let's talk about it. You want some more? Other than the land and police powers, right? The police means weapons. So that we cannot still think about because South is not ready to, go that far. Land is always belonging to the state. But during my governorship, we even distributed land. At that time, Maitri was under Ranil, last government. I was a state minister. We again went in for dialogue with the Tamil parties, Sumandran and Vigneshwaran led Tamil parties. I proposed, if you're asking for police rights, we'll give you police rights without weapons. Because STF is under police, right? So we can't break it. If we are giving police, we have to give STF, which means we are giving automatic weapons. I mean, where is NATO? Where is NATO? Europe. Why? That's where the war happened.
Yeah, that's the theater.
That's the war theater, exactly. So, Northern Province had to have at least another, until we are politically stable, right? Particularly protracted civil ethnic wars, create memories, create extreme ideas that goes down beneath the terrain and can come out anytime. So, it is not possible to give weapons at the beginning. So I proposed and said, I mean, Vigneshwaran immediately agreed. I said, we'll talk about the land, we'll give you police, but no weapons. Police can involve in civil affairs, domestic affairs, all the other things. I mean, the traffic police carries 9mm guns here, right? I don't know why traffic police had to carry guns here. I said, that's we can talk about. And then that came almost there. But I think ITKF, that is Sumantran's party, or the coalition of, they were not ready for that time. They were still trying to drag. So now the Tamil rights issue had become, what do the Tamils want? It's a question.
Yeah.
Right? They say, collectively they say we need Tamil rights, but what form? I mean, Kumar Ponnambalam's son, Kajendra Ponnambalam, will say full federalism, nothing but federalism. He would argue to say it should be co-federation. Confederal federation means two separate states agree to work together, like European Union, right? We are talking about power sharing at the bottom level. You can't go to that. It has to, if I trust you enough, if you trust me enough, you will share your wallet with me. You'll say, Raghavan, take 1,000 rupees my wallet. Because you trust me.
Yeah.
If you don't trust me, you won't even sit next to me. You'll be always holding your wallet. I don't know what this guy is going to do. So politics is always like that. We need to construct this ethnic trust between the two communities. That we are not at each other's neck. We are not trying to rob each other. We are not trying to kill each other. But in Sri Lankan civic society, particularly the media and middle class intellectuals, are not even interested in doing that. This is the curse of this country. In any other country which is at war, there will be a middle class, common middle class. But in Sri Lanka, it is so sad. It is so sad. The intellectuals are divided, right? The academia is divided, the middle class is divided, and the media is absolutely deeply divided. So how can we build this trust? So now that there are no NGOs to promote this kind of thing, Trump had completely closed down all those possible affairs.
The USAID stuff.
Yeah, and I think it is up to the business community in this country now. I keep challenging the business community.
Right.
If you are interested, that's what happened in India.
Yeah.
Indian business community told both parties, Congress and main parties, you don't bring your politics and divide because we are in business. And that is why it is the most growing democracy in the world today, right? Business community in India pump money for social harmony. It's not only Tata. Tata did that very openly and very openly, very charitable way, very spiritually he did it, right? But take the 10 top business community in Sri Lanka, whether it is flagship, John Cales or Dhammika Pereira or Dudley Sirisena, Maliban, I don't know, or even Lanka Unilevers. What percentage of their profit they have invested back in this particular area? No, they like to do environment, beach protection. Those things are, those things will anyway come. The fundamental question of this state is the state is divided. So how much are you investing in constructing the state? A very sad situation, very sad situation. So I would know, I'm at this age and time, after going through all this experience, I would only appeal that we need a civic society. I had only one hope about one organization and one man. That was Sarvodaya leader A.T. Aryaratne. Unfortunately, that organization also became, very different now. I mean, I know the present leader's son, Vinaya Aryaratne, but they are moving to now, Sarvodaya Finance, Sarvodaya
Right.
leasing, Sarvodaya. But he had this vision. He could have become a civic leader, who could have possibly our tutu, but unfortunately.
So what do you think the solution is here? So you mentioned the business community needs to take charge here.
Absolutely.
If I were to think of a place where they did ethnic harmony policy kind of stuff, thinking of Singapore, where they kind of forced people to be next to each other, be neighbors,
Yes.
deal with each other. Is that a viable solution?
No, in Sri Lanka, I kind of tend to be very careful when we compare Singapore and Sri Lanka, except for the name starts with S, because it's completely two different settings. Singapore is a city-state with a very 40, 50 years history.
But do you not think that we
So
can...
it is easy for them to do what we call is social re-engineering,
Right.
right? The institutions, the memories, the structures are not strong and deep as ours, right?
Fair point.
But when Sri Lanka is a cultural state, right? It's not a cohesively constructed state. It has more than 4,000 years of known history and beyond that. So cultural states, when you are trying to do social engineering, it has to come from bottom up.
Bottom up.
It is not top-down decision.
Okay.
A top-down decision will always be rejected. I mean, take South. In the South, so many of my Sinhalese friends like to deny, caste is absolutely epicentric dynamic that still works. Look at Sinhala newspapers of the wedding column. They start talking about that caste daughter with PhD studying in America. Studying in America with PhD.
Yeah.
30 years old, this caste, this nakata wants a this caste person. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So one cannot say South is not divided. South is deeply divided as well from these social structures.
Right.
And then our Nikayas our 3 chapters are based on caste.
Right.
Right? Our Buddhist chapters are. And same way in Jaffna, it is an absolute issue of the caste system. You know, Sumandran is defeated constantly. Last time he was the last man, this time he was defeated. He is rejected by the hardcore Tamil nationalist politics because his caste is different. Right? So I hope Sumandran forgives me for saying this, and he knows, I mean, and he's a Christian. Right? So how could we, in a society, in a reality like that, top down will be very, very difficult.
Interesting.
But we have had experience, we have had success. Bottom up building had come. Anuradhapura district had Tamil speaking people, nearly about 30-35% before the war, the Tamil speaking people. Avisaville has Tamil speaking people, though it's dominantly Sinhala. Gaul has Tamil speaking Tamils and Muslims. So we have these pockets. And Negambu is a very classic example where Tamils and Sinhalese, Tamil speak Sinhala, Sinhala people speak Tamil in Negambu.
Right.
Unique. I mean, one Indian scholar has done a very good research on Negambu. So the state should give tax holidays to companies which are trying to build ethnic harmony. Tie to their economy, otherwise why should they do it?
Yeah.
State should encourage investments that is coming and would say, 1% of our profit we would enhance. Do you know 10,351 schools are there in Sri Lanka for 4,800 students every day, right? Out of which only 36 schools, out of 10,000 schools, only 36 schools have Tamil medium and Sinhala medium, the same school.
Wow.
So we teach our young people saying, I'm Sinhalese, study Sinhala, I'm Tamil, study Tamil. And we expect when they become adults to be together.
So this is a top-down solution, isn't it?
This is the
That's
craziest
awesome.
idea that everybody is ignoring. And even Dr. Harini, who is a friend of mine, I've been telling her, let's start this. Experimentally, let's start this. Right? Where Tamil student will meet the Sinhala student in the playground, in the canteen, in the swimming pool. Right? We had schools like that. Right? We had schools like that. But now, out of 10,000, only 36. So how could you build ethnic harmony? How could I understand your culture and your language, your history? Mahamansa teachers saying Tamils are enemies, and Tamil schools are teaching Sinhalese are the enemies. So how is this possible? I think even if you are economically a strong nation, but if you are deeply divided in our society and our psyche, we will never be a happy nation. We will never be a happy nation. The only way forward is power sharing, economic sharing. I mean, you mentioned about Singapore. Singapore people have no harm a Tamil becoming their president.
Yeah.
Right now, I think the state minister is a Tamil. All immigrants.
Yeah. Really, the president is Tamil.
Tamil, right? State minister is a Tamil. So in India, to a great extent, Tata being I think is Parsi community, which is the Persian.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He being a big conglomerate, this big business is no problem to Indians.
Yeah.
In Tata company in Tamil Nadu, which I have gone to see assembling bus and other vehicles, you see about 20 different language people working together.
Yeah.
The Malayalis, the Gujis, the Karnatakas, the Maharashtras, they have their own English, they have Indian English way, but they're working in one. But tell me one industry in Sri Lanka, one business guy who had done this as an experimental way.
Yeah.
So I think rebuilding state needs visions. For that we need visionaries. For my cry is that those visionaries can come easily from religious communities because we are a cultural state. Learned key Buddhist monks, learned Catholic priest, learned Hindu intellectuals can lead this process, at least start now. So another 6 to 7 to 10 years time, we can, because it takes 12 years, you grade 1, you start grade 1 and 12 years grade 2, and then grade 2, only 12 years. 12 years our history can be changed, or maximum 16 years, you go to university and finish your degree, and by the time you are 18, 16 years this can be changed. This has been done in other countries, right? This has been experimental and done, so why are we not learning? Sorry, I've been talking absolutely too much. You guys have
absolutely
some
not.
questions to ask me.
Absolutely.
So why do you think, Dr. Raghavan, that you mentioned you spoke to the Prime Minister about it as well? Like,
Yeah.
why are they not?
I have been texting her. We didn't get a chance to speak, but while she was in the Parliament,
Okay.
she was, she was part of the academic group where she came to politics, FUTA and other things. So she's an academic. She was interested in education, so that's why I think she's holding the academic portfolio. The question was?
Why is this not being implemented? I would think it won't take too long to get this kind of thing rolled out, or am I underestimating it?
No, there are some institutional challenges, but you need to be bold.
Yeah, political will.
Political will. You need to be bold. Chandrika brought in this teaching Tamil in every Sinhala school and teaching Sinhala in every Tamil school. She brought in. I think for a great extent it came up to about grade 8 or so.
Really?
And in as a result, many of the grade 8 students who are now doing advanced level and all could speak Tamil, and vice versa in Sri Lanka, in Jaffna. But that somehow collapsed. I don't know, later ministers and not supporting physically with funds and other things, it collapses. This kind of. So you need. I think this government is poised more than any other government because they came on a platform, non-ethnic platform. They talked about equal rights for everybody. But unfortunately, JVP is one party which has been dumbfounded about the Tamil rights. Dumbfounded, not even talking a single word about how they will go about. I mean, this is from Vijay Veera's time. Vijay Veera's book, if you had read Ilamata Mage Visunduma in Sinhala, he says it is not ethnic issue at all. It is working class struggle. We will make Jaffna economy good so that working class will have. But that's a misunderstanding, misreading. That is why I'm saying, I texted President, cricket ground is important to Jaffna when he went. But Chenmane is more important than cricket ground. Please, you should have at least visited Chenmane.
Yeah.
And ask.
Yeah.
260 or 80, 60 or 70 bodies are being. They could be Sinhalese, man.
Yeah.
But they are citizens of this country.
Yeah.
Don't they have a right to die peacefully and with respect? Children, the school bags are still fresh.
Yeah.
So on your way back, you stop. And you ask, what's the process? Expedite the process. I want to find out, inquiry. And this is one of the mass graves out of the 18 mass graves found in Sri Lanka. And this is become. So president can bypass, fly over Chenmani, which is only 3 kilometers from A9, and drive in A9 without stopping there, but talks about cricket ground. Excuse me, is there some mismatch here? I think there's a deep political mismatch, right? Anybody will agree with that. I expect, now we are coming into kind of this government, I think, if you ask me, I thought you would ask me the scorecard of this government. I would give them 30-70. 30% they are doing very well, but 70% they are failing in many ways. Along with this asset declaration, they have just lost their credibility, credentials. It's going down the lane. 30% where they have performed well is that reluctantly, as against their rhetorics on their political stage, they have held the economic process which we built. They didn't reject the IMF. They didn't reject the agreement with the donors, the lenders. They didn't, in fact, the restructuring is going to be their biggest challenge. Now, CEB is up in arms. They are striking. They are saying they are work to rule, and they will go on full strike if this restructuring goes on. But the government is, I believe, therefore, President Anura wants to do something on the middle path, right? I had a lot of interaction with him when he was just an MP in the parliament. We have talked about our government, our future, our children, where are we going. I think he's genuinely a politician, wants to do something. But he is only one part of this government. Left to him is the hardcore JVP, pulling him on the JVP's ideology. I don't know who leads it, maybe Tilvin Silva, others lead that. I don't know. But unfortunately or fortunately, he also has a right side to his party, which is led by Harini.
Right.
The more liberal, more wanted to change the, not the constitution. I hope that she's at least proposed a change of the constitution. They're talking about it. But want to change the curricula of the school, talk about, not to teach or not to make history as a prominent subject, all those things. So there are three parts of the government. One trying to take hardcore, Cameroon type, Cambodian type government, one party government. They talked about one party government in this country.
Right.
Excuse me.
Wow.
Right? I think it was Tilvin Silva who, after his visit to China, he came and said, to do all these things that they're envisaging, that they need to have a party leading about 20 years, ruling 20 years. Excuse me. What are you talking?
After his visit to China.
China, yeah. That may be good for Chinese model and Cambodian model, but not in Sri Lanka. I mean, this is absolutely. But that's why I'm saying media doesn't pick up those important things. Media just glosses over this. And then, but how I think my thinking is right. Former governor to the central bank, Dr. Kumaraswamy, in a recent interview has said, how long can Anura hold on to this hard drive? Because he's been pulled left and right. Can he hold on? Can he make a mistake by giving either way? The economy is not collapsing, but not progressing. So it's stable. But we have 9 billion rupee expenditure every day. For Sri Lankan state to run, we need to spend 9 billion rupees. And we can't print money. So we have to borrow from local banks. And we are borrowing at very high rates, even at 10%. Right? The short-term borrowing, rupee borrowing, we are doing with the commercial banks, which we have to pay back in another year's time. And to pay that, we'll buy again at that even higher rates.
Vicious.
Because banks can't keep money. Banks have to dispose money because bank is not supposed to keep money. But dollar economy is not growing, only growing in about 10% because we have about 15% tourism growth and we have about 10% remittance growth, right? But our entire remittance goes back to buy oil, right? We didn't strike a deal with India. India may be buying oil from Russia. That is, they have stood with the international community and won. So I feel like, why didn't we go to a deal with India and say, can you give us oil? Where India was willing to come during our crisis. India is the first country step
Came to
up,
aid.
and then $4.9 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's twice what IMF had given us, almost 1.5%, right?
With fewer conditions.
So if we had, done with, okay, let's talk about fuel, because what happens is crude oil from Russia cannot be refined in our refinery. Our refinery was built by Iran for a different type of oil. So Russian oil cannot be refined here. We have to buy refined oil. So this is one of the major issues that we have. We had not built a refinery for last so many years. Now they are talking about the Chinese refinery in Hambantota. I really hope it will come through, because we buy just refined oil.
Yeah.
That is one of the most damaging thing we can do. Whereas crude oil is 1/3 of the price.
Right.
So I think those economic policies, but still government's expenditure has been curtailed by force because they are not doing any projects. Recently, Mirigama highway was started from Mirigama to another 30 kilometers by the Chinese government. But it is at a higher cost because they postponed it. Now they have to get a new costing, so it will be high cost. Okay. So other than that, I didn't see government pushing money and pumping money and starting. It is because government does not have money. We just day to day we are living. Or maybe government is just saving money without doing anything, budget's not spending, carrying forward. Third year, when they're close to election, they'll start spending.
Right.
And I hear this budget is going to increase the government state workers' salary again to keep them happy. Right? So I'm not sure that kind of economic
No.
progress without having direct investment coming to this country, we cannot talk about economic progress. You know, when we took the government under Ranil Wickremesinghe, that quarter, 2022 final quarter, our economic growth was quarter to quarter minus 12.8. But we handed over government which had plus 4.8. So 16% growth. And that is why World Bank had recently said the recovery speed and style of Sri Lanka is one of their case studies. Out of 68 countries that helped, Sri Lanka is a model country. IMF said out of 500 cases that they went out and helped, Sri Lanka is a model. So out of the foundation that we built, this government is running. No, I am not a Ranil fan. I am not Ranil's party either. But I supported him. I respect him. I will salute him anytime because he was the man of the hour. He knew what to do. He knew exactly where to curtail, where to spend. Unfortunately for this country, that his visionary idea is not sinking for some reason. I cannot understand. Maybe that is bad luck. You know, I mean, because within 2 years, turning around, he's not an economist. Right? It's nobody believed this will turn around. So Anura could not give up that torch. But Ranil said, "I have taken Mother Lanka and handed over to you. You take the balance." That was one of his speeches.
Yeah.
So how far in this bridge Anura can walk, and whether Anura has people who could advise him, political advisors, not political advisors, politically who could advise him looking at the state and the future, who are more knowledgeable about Indian economy, because India is the biggest economy close to us. I think we must backpack with India immediately as possible.
Catch the wave.
And because I'm not an economist, but as a political scientist, I can say this is the way to go forward. And but I think President Anura needs more advisors, independent advisors. I would say independent advisors. May I say even from his dressing, he can go in t-shirt. I mean that's okay. That's cool to be going to UN, leaving Sri Lanka in a t-shirt. That's cool. But that coolness is not validated in international forums. So one need to realize that.
Didn't Trump like berate Zelensky for wearing a T-shirt once to meet
Yeah,
him?
that was Zelensky is
was a
war
military
dressing
war,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Military
But
outfit.
Trump stopped Macroning
On the street.
On the street. So talking about Trump is of course
That's a whole other thing.
other thing.
But Dr. Raghavan, I want to just continue going down this
Yes.
because you were talking about the economic growth under Maithripala and Ranil, which you were advising. That 16% growth
I was
was
supporting, not advising. I mean, they had the other economic.
So
but
this-
we were all supporting because I was part of the COP, which the Committee for
Finance.
Public Finance.
COPEF.
Any bill had to come to that meeting
right.
to get approved.
Right.
So we passed actually about 16, making the central bank independent. Central bank governor is committed to keep at least 3% economic growth, otherwise he had to resign. Right? No money printing. No president or no finance minister can say print me $5 billion, 500 rupees. No. We made local structure, local loans. We have 56 billion foreign loans. The rest is local loans. We structured this 3-member that government JVP solely opposed taking that data and parking it under EPF, because EPF was the only fund in Sri Lanka that could bear that.
Right.
Right. Otherwise, we said one bank we can't say we are not going to pay default. That bank is connected to another bank. The banking system in Sri Lanka would have collapsed. Like in Argentina, people would have taken hammers to go to ATM machine and collect money. But we said, okay, this is fund, all right. But this burden cannot be shouldered by anybody. We go there and park it. But within 6 months, EPF made profits because proper management of EPF. And then now we have to do is divide EPF from the central bank, and EPF as a complete independent monetary fund we have to manage. So we were trying to do all those things. The Colombo port is in disarray. It's not been promoted. It's a landmark only, a sandfield landmark. Indians are willing to come with certain terms. We got to promote this port city built by Chinese. If they're not doing anything, go for a renegotiation, right? They own, some 40 acres or something. But Indians are willing to come. I talked to many Indian people, right? Former Indian High Commissioner Bagle, who's in Australia now. We are in touch. But so we were trying to push that bill, right? Make it an independent body. BOI, we wanted to dissolve BOI because BOI for the last 25 years had, I think, a very minimum expectation from. People who go to BOI say they're a bunch of idiots, right? Because there's no trust. You give a proposal, same proposal come from another company, different after 1 week.
The BOI, yeah.
So that's what the accusation. I don't know whether it's happening or not. But if if an agency loses trust, it is up to the agency to rebuild trust. Yeah. And things like Lanka, I don't know why they're holding Lanka. Right? Lanka has profit-making centers like the catering, the fuel, right? Our A1 air fuel, and few other things, maybe cargo. But passenger routes are making heavy losses. Because that's what Emirates did to us. When we moved out, Emirates undersold the same routes to bleed us. Because Emirates got very hurt.
Yeah.
So that was the previous government, but how are we going to recover this billions of dollars loss? So just take the bold decisions and go forward is the cry, is the advice from economists like Kumaraswamy, economists like famous people. But my idea about political reconciliation in this country, first time Jaffna, they have won 3 seats. Right? It is up to them, their historical responsibility.
Yeah.
I do not know how they won because the Jaffna people do not know even the MPs, their names. I'm not inciting anything else, but it was like the wave.
It was the wave.
Let's give them a chance.
Were they fed up with their own
Yeah,
local Tamil politicians?
also their own politicians. So they were fed up with. But I think if they fail delivering aspirations of the Jaffna people, JVP will have no chance whatsoever. I think JVP, not only Jaffna, even after the second election, they saw a drop in their vote base. And if you go to provincial council election in January or so, I think they're supposed to have, and we are pushing for that. They're not sure whether they will get even the local election amount they got. Because JVP's vote bank is not JVP's vote bank. The hardcore JVP's vote bank is 3 to 5%. We know that. This is this swinging vote, which was originally SLFP, then went with Mahinda, then came with Gotabaya. Because those are the people who make these heroes, you see. The floating vote made Chandrika the Viharamadevi. And then they made Maithripala Sirisena the eternal simple man, who is eating with his butt packet or something like that. Then they came to Mahinda and said Appachi, Rajanu. Then they came and said Viruvanu to Gotabaya. So this floating vote mentality is right now with JVP, and they are getting fed up.
Yep.
Won't last, yeah.
Right? From within 1 year of time, they have got fed up. Because they are not got their 1.2 million cars. They are not got their economy growing. They are not got their tuition fees. The tuition market in Sri Lanka, because I was Minister of Higher Education, the private tuition market, just give me a figure annually.
The private tuition market, yeah. I'm
it's close to 100 billion rupees.
100. I was going to say 50 million rupees, but 100
billion,
rupees.
100 billion.
Billion.
100 billion rupees is the tuition market in Sri Lanka
Annually.
Wow.
And all of the key tuition
insane.
masters, it's a male-dominant field. All the masters know.
Right.
They are supporting political parties.
Yeah.
They fund campaigns of key politicians because they have money.
Right, but this is all untaxed, like cash money.
So no government, including Dr. Harini Surya's government, is not willing to talk about tuition masters.
Right.
But every parent, if you have two children doing advanced level, you're done with life. Because you had to pay 4,000 into 3 subjects into 2. 24,000. I had my security team. One guy had 2 kids doing advanced level. 36,000 he has to pay as tuition fees a month. While there is supposed to be a free education system and we are spending billions of rupees to free education. My idea was to close all the advanced level schools. Ask them to go to tuition fees and we give parents some token.
Pocket cash.
Token cash. Nobody says they went to this school and got through.
It's always tuition.
Yeah, so they say, Ara master gavata gaya, Mesa gavata gaya, we won. So, okay. I mean, just close all the advanced level. We know the amount, divide that by students and give that to the parents. Let them go to tuitions anyway. We stop at OL. I mean, I'm so frustrated of the situation. Right? I try to build this and try to register the tuition fees, masters. They are teaching subjects that they don't have a degree on. Right? Many of them now.
Yeah.
They by practice they are teaching.
Yeah.
Right? So this has to be regulated. In the UK there is tuition master culture, but they're regulated. So I told all of them, register your first what you are teaching. Right? Who are you? Some of them are sexual abusers. We have cases. And some talk politics throughout. Some talk ethnic politics. There is a bio class teacher who is saying, if you heard Pirit when you are conceived, you will be a good person. So how about Bango? How about prayers of the Christian church? How about the Vedas of the Hindu? You don't become anybody. And this guy is teaching biology.
That's insane.
So this is
That's insane.
I'm sorry, I'm going out of topic. I think this country needs a transparent questioning process, which the media need to do. You people, young people, please do this. This may not be popular. This may not give you income on YouTube and likes, but history will talk about you. You know, the small booklets that are printed, Change Russia, the Red Book. The small booklet Mao printed, Change China, right? The small thing that printed by Mandela changed South Africa. So don't underestimate yourself. You are doing a good job. Take key issues and question this country's process. And I suppose um, that would influence the way we are thinking and way we are working. Because at your level, it's easy to build ethnic harmony and envision a new state, new multi-ethnic state, a state where religion and language, culture becomes a personal thing, but the state and civic society becomes the first public thing.
Personally, like we have friends of all sorts of people, you
Yes.
know, like Muslim, Tamil, like all different backgrounds, different beliefs, different
Absolutely,
political
of course,
beliefs,
of
and
course.
we have very intense discussions, debates, and at the end of the day, we just want the same things. We want to make some money, do well in life, have family one day, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and then we are united in that cause. Do you see a future for Sri Lanka?
I think
That can happen?
I strongly believe, as father of two, of course, not living in Sri Lanka, they migrated long back. Because I was in politics, my life was not sure. And I had to park my children because that was my responsibility. During peace talks, and we didn't know which was going where. So, but young people in this country need to really expose themselves. I think capitalism has given you avenues without going to another country, studying about that country through media. I mean, today, whatever happens rest of the world, you have the fingertips. So exposure to how countries changed, how countries face their challenges. I mean, your example is Singapore is still good, but I think it's a city-state, so
Sure.
it has a. But I think looking at India, and some spots in India, not all over India, but some spots in India, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, the economically very strong states in India, and what their young people doing. I mean, India's population is about 40% are below 40, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So how they are going to? How are they envisioning? Of course, they have this perennial idea about the enemy as Pakistan. I hope the cricket match. They're finalizing. They're qualified to final now. no?
Yeah, both of them.
So
That's
I
going
hope
to
those
be
things.
intense.
But last time they did a handshake or something. That there was some controversies. The young people, cricket is a different ball game and a business. I think it's an absolute business now.
Yeah.
The young people in India who are exposed to foreign education, envisioning a different India, I think we can learn from them. The young people in countries like Vietnam, how are they? They had a very harsh history. How are they envisioning? I wonder whether you all can make a forum. I don't know, a cross-country forum to talk about, learn about. What happened to Vietnam and how Vietnam is attracting. Vietnam attracted 27 billion US dollar investment last year, including 3M and McDonald's. This is the country which fought America until they died,
Yeah.
until they
There was nothing left.
complete annihilated. So I was telling Vasudeva Naikara in Parliament, please go to Vietnam before you read all these things. You are still talking about 18th century Marxism.
Yeah.
Vietnam is the biggest American investor attracting, right? And McDonald's. So these, how did that happen? They have young people. Singapore. Your example, Singapore. Singapore has a very young cabinet. Most of them foreign educated in America and other places, Harvard and other places. So we need that. In the absence of that, how I'm throwing back to you all. Is it possible for a young democratic force coming in South Asia or Asia? People who are committed, young people who are committed to a liberal democracy. And I think there are groups I can connect you with some Tamil Nadu and Delhi groups, right? Why don't you try? Connect them and bring up a forum, right? Once a month, online meeting and talking about these issues. What are the barriers? Our old people are barriers to us. And our political parties are barriers to us. Our education system is a barrier to us. Our legal system is a barrier to us. Until recent time, I think still true, a woman can't buy any alcohol from a wine store in Sri Lanka.
You can't.
know
Yeah,
that.
it's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, only from a supermarket she can buy horeng.
Yeah.
Horeng, yeah.
Horeng gila kan pulang ya kan. I'm not asking women to drink. I'm saying what kind of archaic laws we have in this
Freedom
country.
of choice.
I mean, we in the parliament decriminalize same-sex sexuality. We didn't legalize. We didn't want to go that far. We said we'll wait. We need to see this is society's reaction, but we definitely decriminalize.
Yeah.
It is not criminal anymore.
Yeah.
Want to have a same-sex relationship, right? So we were moving forward. Some of my friends say that Sri Lanka has Kuwaini's curse.
What does it mean?
Kuwaini said, you will never be a good nation when Vijay chased away. So Vijay built the nation
Yeah.
and he cheated Kuwaini. According to Mahavamsa, Kuwaini and the two children were chased away. So at the chasing time, she cursed her. The nation that you build will never become right. Because we take 2 steps forward and then 4 steps backward. This is a zigzag way that we are walking. I mean, I am not saying that I should have been in power. That economic growth could have gone just 3 years, man. We become a stabilized nation. We could have jumped from the middle income to the upper income, at least the bottom upper income, right? We just missed the bus again.
Yep.
And I don't know how far we are going into the bus again. So I wish during our lifetime, I wish this government doing good. But the signatures on the wall are not so convincing.
Dr. Raghavan, we had a guest previously. He was an advisor to President Gotabaya at one point. And so we had an interesting discussion, and he was talking about how external powers, like the US, the great power competition between the US and China, how that has a major role to play in smaller countries like
Of course.
Sri Lanka, yeah. And sure, like
Particularly Sri Lanka, because it's on the strategic location. It's in the maritime hub.
sure.
No question about it. Indian Ocean is completely important for any superpower.
And now with India also in the game here, how much of these decisions that our government can take are truly sovereign? Like how much of pressure do they really have where they can't really make reform the way you're talking about? Because you have China that's pressuring them on one side, the US on one side, India here.
Right.
It's a tough game. And
It is a tough game.
if they don't play with one side, the other
Yeah,
side
to
wants
take
them
a
gone.
rude colloquial example, Sri Lanka is like a extremely attractive, beautiful teenage girl. Everybody is after her.
Right.
So how is she going to manage? Her first cousin is after her. Her classmate is after her, and then her father's friend's son is also after her.
Yeah.
I think it takes absolute visionary leadership. I'm just joking with this teenage girl's example, but imagine she has to manage. She has to keep all three kind of in par length, and she has not decided. She's an individual. Nobody is asking her opinion. So therefore, Sri Lanka's sovereignty needs to be independently held, no questions about it. But that means Sri Lanka is constantly in dialogue with all three factors.
Yeah, constantly and consistent. Because you were mentioning Hambantota, right?
Yeah.
The oil fields in Hambantota. But is the US really going to allow such a thing?
We don't know. We don't know. So whether US is going to allow Hambantota, the Chinese going to have it. Now we have signed, even under Ranil Wickremesinghe's, we had some kind of signatures. But I don't know what Ranil Modi signatures. It has not come out. We do not know about Trincomalee. Trincomalee is one of the strategic areas in Sri Lanka. If Indians wants to do that, whether the Chinese will allow that. Therefore, we need extremely qualified, extremely learned think tanks to guide our governments. But governments in Sri Lanka are thinking they own the state. See, the state and government are different. In Sinhala, Rajai, Rajai kenaka langunata, they are two different entities. Rajya is not Rajya. Government is not the state. So our government leaders think that they own the state.
Can you explain the difference?
Oh, come on. The state of Sri Lanka is state of Sri Lanka. Government is the caretaker, 5 years caretaker of the state of Sri Lanka.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Every 5 years they have to give either continue or the state of Sri Lanka has the contract with like any other citizen. Our constitution says our first contract with the citizen. That is why Aragalia first part I like it. The sovereignty is in the hands of the citizens of this country. They choose who is going to be the caretaker government for every 5 years. So when Gotabaya, they felt, the citizens felt Gotabaya was failing, they went to Gotabaya president and said, you are failing, leave now. That's a right of the citizen.
Yeah.
But the way they did was something I couldn't agree, because that second part, right? So the citizens have the right over government, over the state. The governments which are created by political parties are just custodians, temporary custodians.
Yeah.
But every government in Sri Lanka think the state is belonging, and they make either, they don't make decisions at all, or they make harsh decisions that will tie the state for another 10, 15 years. So, I think civil society, part of media and all that, we unfortunately, I can't see any think tank, any civil leader who would we can present. Let's take the foreign ministry. Okay, foreign ministries, as much as I know, foreign ministries all are people who are working for the government. You know, they were appointed they did foreign exams, they came.
Right.
But we don't have like in the category of Dr. Jayashankar's level of diplomat, ex ambassador somewhere, you know, ex high commissioner somewhere. Who is there? Now Kachadev issue is come up. We are just declaring saying then letter. Don't come even talk about it. But Indian politics are talking about it. Vijay, the actor Vijay, who is now a formidable force in Tamil Nadu government, right? Tamil Nadu politics for next year. He is talking, his last speech he talked about even Ilan Tamils, right? But who is the diplomat? Who is the think tank guy in Sri Lanka who is on behalf of the government or on behalf of the state going and started talking about this? Nobody. Make a maha karumayak merit. It's a curse for this country. We don't have heads. I don't know. I mean, we had a time where there were people who would go and speak with, you know, foreign countries. I think the last of the Mohican was our Prime Minister to 6 Prime Ministers who කවුද මේ අගමැතිවරු 6 දෙනෙකුට හිටියේ නේ මේ ලේකම් වෙලා ළඟදී නැති වුණේ, who passed away recently. I forget his name, sorry. I mean, people like him, we had Korea, you know, Ernest Korea going and talking. We had people, but they are gone. They are no more. So I do not know whom you will send.
Right.
Right.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Do you, because since you were the governor in the north for a few months, I believe, right?
10 months and 9 days.
10 months and 9 days. Could you tell us what that was like? But also I want to ask you, do you think that the north in particular is very vulnerable to the great power competition game? Because I know the Chinese ambassador was there, and you have India constantly there. What do you think the north's future is like in that regard?
Yeah, as governor, the first Tamil governor, I thank President Maithripala Sirisena. He took a bold step. Until such time, it was all military leaders who was the part of the alliance. 87, we signed the agreement, Indo-Lanka agreement. Indo-Lanka agreement was signed for the single purpose of bringing some peace to northern province. But there were no northern province. And all the governors were Sinhalese. Right? 34 years after, or 30 some years after, he called me. How I became his media advisor was a very funny situation. I had given a lecture on Sri Lankan situation at Columbia University. Some of students have recorded and it has gone, and he had seen it.
Interesting.
And he had remembered and said, oh, Raghavan was in the peace talks, no? when he called me, he said, I won because of Tamil votes. Because Sirisena completely lost the South. He won because of the upcountry and northern vote. He said, after 4 years of my presidency, I don't think I had done anything enough for Jaffna. So I'm thinking, before that, at that time, he was 2018 end, he was getting bashed by media, YouTubers were mocking him, and he was the kind of joke of the town, right? I know who did that. I know who used YouTube to attack him. But that's later talk about off the camera. So he called me and said, his image has completely destroyed. How could you help me? So I arranged first foreign journalists conference. So let's talk to foreign journalists first. And first time his presidency, he met 45 foreign journalists at one sit, and he managed it well. 2 days later, he called me and said, what you have done, something like that. And I said, what? I thought I made a mistake. He said, no. I got call from Japanese Prime Minister, who was assassinated later.
Shinzo Abe.
Shinzo Abe called me and he's talked about how great relationship we have had, because that journalist had reported and Abe's paper, apparently party paper or something. So Abe had said he wanted to visit Sri Lanka and improve our ties, and so President was very happy. He said, Suren, one meeting you have done this. This takes 10 years to build, and Abe calling me. So now you can't escape. You have to come and help me more.
Interesting.
So I said, what do you mean more? No, you take over the advisory part. You are now lecturing. No, you can lecture when lectures can go slow. So within about 4 weeks, there was a flood in northern province. Hirannamadu tank was opened unannounced. Entire Kilinochchi came down. But President was in Yugoslavia at that time. I acted. I had the experience acting like this without asking, waiting for decisions to come. This happened when Elephant Pass fell. When Elephant Pass fell in this country, President was away. Chandrika was in London. Ratpate was away. He was in Singapore. Daluwat, the commander, was on holiday. And that LTTE knew this. That's why they attacked us. And Prime Minister was away. And the person who would act as all those, Mangala was away in Egypt. Elephant Pass attacked. 2 days, we unfortunately or fortunately ran the country. Few ministers and we were on the phone all the time. What to do next, what to do next, what to do next. Every hourly. Because we thought there would be a southern reaction to that again. So like that, President was in Yugoslavia, but Kilinochchi was underwater. What could I do? I immediately acted and did relief work. I organized a full train from Matara to Kilinochchi, and I told all the Sinhalese people, donate anything you can donate. And companies like others like Maliban companies and then Hema's drugs and all that came forward to drug. And the train was very full. Absolutely, they created a second train also. It went all the way to Kilinochchi and distributed and flood relief. So President had seen this and said, look, you did this while I was not here. This is what is required to do for a lead. I think you have leadership qualities. Don't leave the country. Wait. This was happening in November, December. So December 31st, he called for a tea and said, next week I'm going to give you a responsibility. Don't talk about it still. So on the 6th morning, January, President's office called me and said, sir, come at 9:30. I said, why? President wants to talk to you. Come in ceremonial dress. I thought he was meeting a head of state. He wants me to be next to him. When I went to President office only, they said, you're going to take oath as governor of the northern province.
Oh.
Until that time, I didn't know what governor is mean. And that evening, I had to come and read the constitution. What is governor means, Because I had never held political positions. But I think my life, all those pains, you asked me what's my life experience. I born in this country as a minority of the minority. Studied Sinhala. I think our life train us and equip us for some momental moments. Becoming Northern Province governor for those 10 months is my life's pride, because I was able to hear their cry. Mothers used to come and say, "Sir, don't solve our problem. We know you can hear us, because when we try in Tamil, you hear us." The first 4 months was very tough for me. I was crying with them. Land problem, disappearing problems, prison problems, water problems. Mothers, young widows used to come and cry. I have no answers to give. So I used to cry. Then another senior minister called and said, "Governor, I can think you are a very sensitive person, but don't cry in public, because people are coming to ask solution from you. If you start crying, they lose hope and confidence. So try to hold it." So in my 10 months, I built relationship with the South. Nearly 2,000 acres of land was recovered from the military and given to people, original owners. Camps were dismantled and unified into one area. So demilitarization took place. I started the airport, reoperating the airport, passenger airport, after 42 years.
Wow.
Palali Airport was renamed as Jaffna International Airport under IATA code. Now today, 2 flights are operating from Chennai directly. The work was done for the ferry. Ferry is now operating. And I started a bank called Northern Province Cooperative Bank. Under Kumaraswamy was the governor at Central Bank. I asked him, "Sir, what can I do? Because these microcredit people are coming and robbing these young women, and can we start a bank?" Then he studied and he said, "Yeah, your cooperatives can collect a bank." So Northern Province Cooperative Bank is operating, and it is now. By the time I was leaving, I was thinking operating. The Dutch government and British government was willing to help the bank up to about $10 million.
Right.
I don't know whether that took continue. I think the negotiations are continuing. There was cultural reawakening. In Tamil, the most respected literature was Tirukkural, written 2,000 years ago. So we started Tirukkural clubs.
Okay.
And printed the Tirukkural book and gave it to schools. Jaffna University's Tamil was a department. I made it a faculty. Gave 30 million rupees for their research work on Tamil history. Southern development was Southern through Sarvodaya. South youth was brought in to talk about the youth problems in the north. They stayed in Tamil homes, homestay, and study and eat Tamil food. Talk about, in broken Sinhala, talk about your pain. And then we were trying to bring the northern people during Vesak time, because I wanted to show northern people the Sinhalese culture of Dana. Sinhalese people are so kind. They donate ice, they donate blood, but they don't donate political power. That's a different issue. That's a question I'm asking. So kind people. Our eye bank is full of ice. We don't know what to do with our eye bank. We are exporting ice now. Our blood bank is so full. Sometimes our blood bank, we go and throw it, the blood to the sea. Because Sinhalese people are so generous in donating eyes and blood and body parts. Kadirgama, former Minister Kadirgama, was living with a kidney donated by a Buddhist monk from Kurnagal. This is the fact that I talk about Sinhalese people in international fora. And the question that I had to answer is, okay, Raghavan, so kind Sinhalese people, so Buddhist Sinhalese people, why are they not sharing power and living in peace? And that's a question that I had to answer in my PhD. So that question drew me to the wall and said, no, I had to research and find why this is. So this dichotomy that so kind people, so Dana-oriented people, giving-oriented people, but why are they politically so narrow or not understanding? The term I coined was that historicized Cosmian insecurity.
Historicized Cosmian insecurity.
Because Sinhalese to share power is to lose everything. Lose Buddhism, lose Sri Lanka. That's the historicized Mahavamsa reading. And Sinhalese Buddhist monks believe Theravada Buddhism, which is the Puritan form of Buddhism, is given to them to protect and
Preserve,
propagate
right.
until the next Buddha comes, which happens in another 2,500 years. Right? And they are the custodians of this culture, this religion, and this land, which record says Buddha visited 3 times, not once. 3 is very important, underline 3 times. So this is a Buddhist land where Buddhism thrives by the Sinhalese people, sharing power equally with non-Buddhists who are equally Hindus to whom Buddha spoke against. Buddha was born Hindu, but his first discourse was against Hinduism. Hindus believe in Atma. Buddha said Anatma. There is no Atma. Hindus believe in Atma, Anatma, Anitya. Hindus believe in a Nitya world, a permanent world. Buddha said everything is Anitya. Right? So I feel like Buddha was the first postmodern deconstructor against Hinduism. Right? That war, ideological war, is still happening. So sharing power, this was my summary of my 800 interviews with 800 Buddhist monks.
Okay.
They said, we are afraid of the Tamil people. We are really afraid. The history says Tamils invaded this country, destroy our Buddhist history. Anuradhapura kingdom collapsed because of other reasons, right? We went and helped the Pallavas, who were having another war there. But then when Pallavas won, they attacked us. So that's a different reason. Pallavas happened to be Tamil. But then all those historical reasons, if inside an innocent Buddhist monk, snobbish Buddhist monk, young Buddhist monk, if you ask, they say they are afraid of the Tamil. They are afraid of the Tamil. Imagine without power, they declared this war for the 29 years. If we have enough power, if they are a separate state, what will they do to us? They will constantly wage war at us. And they may take over Sinhalese nation. And Sinhalese, imagine, Sinhalese ethnic community is also minority of the minority. The 14 million Sinhalese are in Sri Lanka is a world minority. As against 78 million Tamils just across 22 kilometers. So this mindset had to be understood. This is my argument with the Tamils. I hope you have enough time to put this both balance, because I talked about Tamil rights. I need to talk about the Sinhalese rights.
Absolutely.
Right. The Sinhala language is only spoken in this island. So when I see diaspora kids who don't speak Sinhala, I said, this is one of the most dying languages, man. I take as gift the Sinhala alphabet. In the shop in Colombo, you can buy them. It's written on Ola leaf. It's easy for me to carry because it's very thin and cheap also to buy. Yeah. So I carry about 25 of them. And whenever I meet the Sinhalese family whose second generation do not speak Sinhala, I say, this is your ancient language. Just hold on to this. 14 million people only speaking in Sri Lanka against the history of Tamil Nadu historical invasions. Tamil Nadu right now, 77, 78 million speaking. Tamil Nadu is trying to divide into 2 states because too much of one state, right? And all over the world, put together Tamil speaking communities, 100 million. So Sinhalese are a global minority. Holding on to even among Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism is another minority. Only 5 countries, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Taiwan, Thailand. So,
it's very interesting.
This, I think Professor Tambaya said, Sinhalese are operating from a minority mindset insecurity. And I would add to that and say, Tamils are operating out of a majority mindset for overconfidence. Because they talk about, Rajaraja Cholan, the Chola Parampara, and the Chola kingdoms, and the Pan-Tamil kingdom, which even controlled Indonesia. The name Indonesia came from that. The Indonesian president still gives oath on Bhagavad Gita, not on Quran. It's okay. So how do we understand these deeply entrenched, that's why I said it's historicized, Cosmian insecurity? Like the German scholar Eric Waldheim, who wrote on this insecurity of societies. So I built on that. But I think we can still try. We can start, because Sri Lanka is an island, very flexible for new ideas, very open to new ideas and adapt. Adaptation is one of the key trust and strength in Sri Lanka. So new ideas can come, envisaging how we can live as a modern state, modern young state.
But can we, Dr. Raghavan, with such deeply entrenched fear? Do you fear that we might end up in not in time soon, but later on, like an Israel-Palestine
No,
kind
no,
of do you think we could have ended up there?
We could have, if Elam had come some form or the other, the worst thing would have come, the ugliest thing is Pakistan-India kind of rivalry.
Right.
Ugly rivalry. That doesn't take us anywhere.
Right.
For that reason, India had more than us not wanting a separate state.
Yeah.
Right? It is India who opposed a separate state more than us. They said, okay, federalism and that far and stop. We don't want another southerner separate.
Another partner to deal with.
Yeah, because Tamil nationalism was one of the key things that Nehru had to fight.
Right.
The word Tamil Nadu came in order to, it was Madras constituency, it was called, part of Andhra Pradesh and all that. And the first Tamil Dravidian leaders like E.V. Ramasamy and all the others started fighting for a pan-Tamil idea, and they wanted a Tamil separate state. It is irony that Indian 13th Amendment for India barring separate state and made. So they asked, what do you want? They said, no, we are talking, Tamil Nadu means Tamil state, Tamil country, basically. They said, we like this word. He said, okay, you take the word, but I can't give you the country. Nehru was such a smart guy. He said, you take the country. You want to call that place? Okay, Tamil Nadu. That's no problem.
Call it whatever you like.
Yeah, you call it whatever you like. And later only, even Telangana became Telangana because they said, we want our identity.
Right.
Okay. Now, the Keralians are talking about some other state apparently. They want to. See, Kolkata became Kolkata. Bombay became Mumbai. And Chennai became, Madras became Chennai. So they are indigenizing their language. That's all right. That's okay. As long as you don't fight. I don't mind people changing their names, Apitame, one road can be, our Donamo road can be, Ranasinghamawata. I have no problem. You don't fight over it. Don't just shed blood over these silly things. This is the whole issue. Your question about deeply entrenched societies, whether they can become ever living together, possible in Sri Lanka, because historically, our history is one. Tamil kings were there. Throughout the Mahavamsa, 218 kings, out of few, all married Madurai princes. That is what Mahavamsa says. So we are half Tamil anyway. If your mother is Tamil, you are half Tamil, right? So all the kings, famous kings, married Madurai. Madurai is Tamil. Beautiful Madurai women. So when you are talking about a singular nation, you are talking about half Tamil nation. When you are talking about a Tamil nation, you are talking about half singular nation. Right? So deeply entrenched, this, if you unpoliticize, this history, it is a core culture that has lived together. I mean, read Granatho Besekar's Candian Kingdom. This book I'm trying to read, right? He just passed away. One of our final scholars in this country. Candian Kingdom. How cosmopolitan it was. How the Christians were living, the Hindus were living, the Buddhist monks were living together, and a thriving trade. You know, Ranil Wickremesinghe talked about Theravada economy in his campaign. I don't know whether you remember. So we all went out and said, what is Theravada economy you're talking about? He said Anuradhapura kingdom thrived for 1100 years. You know, Anuradhapura is the fourth longest within history and any kingdom surviving. How did that happen? Happened because it was a trade economy. Sri Lanka was a trade hub for three civilizations: Europeans who came from Greece, Chinese who came from Silk Route, and Bharat, Indians who came here. Right? So Theravada economy means Buddha's preaching is very fitting to trading economies. It is not tied up with customs and you have to pray at one particular time. You have to pray at one. You have to do fasting and all those things. So Buddhism became very popular among traders in Madhya Pradesh in the very first century of Buddha. And my thesis, my second PhD would have been to prove that Buddhism came long before Arahat Mahinda came to Sri Lanka. The traders coming to buy gems, they propagated Buddhism. So that is why Southern Buddhism, particularly Sabaragama Buddhism, is different from other Buddhisms in Sri Lanka. That's a different story. So Ranil Wickremesinghe said we need to have a trading economy in this country.
Yeah.
Make a trade hub. You know, if you realize Anuradhapura kingdom, it had nothing, man. Malwatoya, which is coming from Ritigala mountain. Ritigala is one of the smallest mountains. And this Malwatoya is created there. Malwatoya ending in manna, falling into the sea. The Malwatoya dries off some seasons. It's such a small, it's nothing Mahavali. Mahavali comes all the way and turns at Manampitiya at where Poronaru and goes to Trincomalee. But they traded on this river. Malwatoya was the trading river. Anuradhapura kingdom had enough and more grain, copper and gems to trade and spices. And Manna was our main Mantai, was our main port, open to all the foreign trading. And that is why you still find, if you dig Manna, you find Roman coins, Roman wine. That was the open port. So this was the idea, make Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, this whole idea about is Eastern granary. We didn't create all those grains to the entire world to feed, but we were stocking like Turkey is doing today. Turkey is not cultivating any grain. Turkey is the stock market. That's where all the stocks come. From Canada, the dal comes to Turkey. Everywhere, even from Australia, things go there. Turkey becomes the distributor to rest of the world, to Middle East and Asia. So Sri Lanka was like Turkey. It's a door to the Eastern and the Western world.
Right.
So Ranil Wickremesinghe was saying that Sri Lanka need to become such a trade economy.
To make ourselves indispensable.
Absolutely. I mean, we see today Indian manufacturing is so fast. They are manufacturing everything in India. If you go to Tamil Nadu, every European brand cars are manufactured. Now Google apparently had agreed to manufacture their phones in India fully. Just last week, I think Modi announced it. Right? So Ranil was saying we could take half of those manufacturing and become manufacturing state here. And that is how Korea developed. This Hyundai company single-handedly put Korean economy up. Then Samsung came, second company. Single-handedly, one company changing the economy and country. Those days when we were young, a bad place in Sri Lanka was called Korea. Slums, fighting people, drunkards who are fighting in this Mardana area and all, around the railway stations. Very poor people, we used to call them Korea. Because Korea was so poor. But how did this country become such a strong? Three companies put this. We have role models. We could study. And those countries are not having free education, where 98% of people are literate. And Sri Lanka is that. Our people can learn fast. Right? And Sri Lanka, I always say it's a cultural state with a skilled civilization. We were not thinkers. We didn't find Pythagoras theorem. We didn't create a um, Albert Einstein. But we were good at our hands. Whatever we built 2000 years ago was still existing. So learn skills. Why? That is how Sri Lankan garment industry thrived. We were very good skills. That secret, Victoria's Secret is still staying in Sri Lanka only for one reason. Those software undergarments need very fine stitchings. Nearby Bangladesh or Indian girls can't do that. Somehow our girls have a DNA ability to do that because we are Shilpa Sistachara. We are good at carvings. We are good at building. So learn that. Why can't we have cars building? Why can't we have railway coaches building? So for that you need visionary leadership. That you need, for all that, we need to settle our underneath problems. Become one nation, one state, or two nations, one state. Right? Give the citizens and people like you their aspirations and build a civic nation. And may history and future bless us with such leaders who can think.
Are you an optimist?
I am always. I was born a Hindu, studied in Buddhist schools, loved and married a Christian girl.
Really?
So I am shared by multiple cultures. And the bottom line is be positive. The universe is such vast place. We are only a tiny particle in that. And now the quantum physics says our thinking can influence universe because we are particles. Two particles can think the same thing, same time, same somewhere in the cosmos. That's a new one. The particles have consciousness.
Very interesting.
Right? And particles are connected by string theory. So now the new idea is, are we influencing the particles or particles are influencing us?
For those who
I
don't
think that we will stop for another discussions. That's my fascinating subject. I know it's making my retired life so sharpened when we read these things and how close we have been. You see, we only found the radio waves just 120 years ago. 400 years it took from Sir Isaac Newton, who read the theory of gravity, for us to have a plane. Wright brothers. 400 years it took. Right? But 100 years time, from radio waves, we have sent messages to Mars. So our growth, human civilization growth, is exponential. It's just growing. Right? I mean, last 30 years, what have you all done? I mean, on the phone, you are doing miracles now. I mean, had I gone to 1994, I was doing my first live TV show in this country. I did on the Peace Forces. On we did.
Okay.
First live TV interview I did 1994 end, 1995 beginning. Crossroads with Suren at SLRC. Massive studio with 16 lights, but 5 cameramen rolling. But today you are just on the bench, you are doing this. So the world has changed. So what will happen another 50 years time? The world will change so much. It is because the most intellectual animal is the Rwandan chimpanzee. Is only 2% less than us in DNA intellectually.
Intellectually.
Only 2% less than us. And we are doing this as that chimpanzee is still living as a chimpanzee. We are doing. I have a reason for that because we have a soul. Animals don't have a soul. We have what is called in Pali savinyana. It is not vinyana. It is savinyana. Vinyana is knowledge. Savinyana is the wisdom that comes from knowledge. Right.
Interesting.
Right. So we human have savinyana. We don't build the houses that built same way 100 years ago. We are building differently. We don't dress the same way. But bees are building their hives last 4 million years the same way because they don't have savinyana. We have savinyana.
Interesting.
So human behavior is going to be different. My question to you, maybe you can think about this. How about in this vast cosmos, which is the edge is 130 billion light years away, we have another civilization, just 10% more intelligent than us. Are they talking to us? Are we ready even a language if they talk? If you talk to an ant, will the ant understand your language, your English, your French? That civilization must be looking at us and say, okay, grow.
Yeah.
You just discovered the particle. You just discovered the particle has a consciousness. Okay, just grow. Please grow. We will talk to you. Because if we talk to you now, you don't even understand. You're three-dimensional.
Yeah.
We are multi-dimensional. We can't even fathom. I mean, 25 years ago, if you had gone somebody and said, they are going to be an instrument where you can hold in the hand and talk to somebody in Canada and you can see him or her,
Yeah.
they would have said either you are possessed.
Yeah, or you're a bitch and they'll burn you.
You're possessed or you're mad. But it happened.
Yeah.
So you ask whether I'm optimistic. My optimism comes from that large, enlarged vision. We are only just small particles in this cosmos. We are neither Sinhalese, nor Tamils, nor
Yeah.
Indians, nor Sri Lankans. We are living beings moving towards certain things. So in that, my coming into this planet Earth, I don't know who said this, should be a better place when I leave. So what is my contribution? So I keep trying to make that place. Sri Lanka was I was born. As a Tamil I was born. I did change my surname to Hirugal Bandara and hide behind it. So what is Suren Raghavan, who was born as a minority of the minority, contribution to this country's long term? So I try towards that. I try. So I worked with Chandrika. I worked with Maithripala. I took many of my liberal friends are so angry that I took a post from Gotabaya. How can you do this? A lot of Tamils are very angry with me. And then I worked with Ranil. I have worked with 5 presidents after 7 presidents in this country. Why? Politics is not my motive. Service is my motive. Whoever calls me, says, Raghavan, can you do this? I will do, irrespective of party politics.
Yeah.
Irrespective of ethnic identity. Because they end the crying citizen either in Malaham, who is searching for her son, or the mother who is crying that she couldn't send her daughter to tuition fees and therefore she couldn't go to medical college in Hambantota are my primary goals. How do we make their life better tomorrow? We have to work hard with hope. That's my only way.